It's that time of the year again where the newly matriculated may be seeking to make career choices, while others in lower grades are making subject choices. Let's speak now to Dr Matt Dickens of the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board about career opportunities, as well as some of the other issues that have affected the coast in the festive season. Dr Dickens, appreciate your time today. Now, I suppose the first place we'd like to start is that of shark attacks or any shark-related incidents during this festive season. Have you had any of those?
No, in 2022 we had 3 shark incidents. Unfortunately, 2 of those were fatal, taking place in June and September at Plettenberg Bay. However, I'm pleased to say that over the festive season, there's been no shark attacks anywhere along the South African coast. However, there was a provoked shark attack on a diver conducting a baited dive at Protea Banks, which is about 7 kilometers offshore from Margate. Unfortunately, the diver was bitten on the hand by a black-tip shark, likely mistaking the bait in the water for his hand.
So explain provoked attack. What actually transpired here?
So during the baited dives, you put bait in the water that attracts sharks, and it's a fantastic tourism opportunity. It's a great way to get people in the water. It's a great way to show people that sharks, to educate people about sharks. Unfortunately, in very, very rare occurrences, on this occasion, the shark, in all likelihood, mistook the diver's hand for bait. So a case of mistaken identity, resulting in the young diver having a bite on his hand.
And when you talk about a bite, I must press on. Did he lose his entire hand? Because I'd imagine that if a shark bites you, it's not like a little nick, is it?
No, it was a non-life-threatening injury. The diver was taken to hospital where he underwent surgery. However, he's fine.
Okay, glad to hear that. Now, let's talk about those June and September incidents where those individuals lost their lives. You also mentioned that some of these dives occur 6 to 7 kilometers offshore. How close to the shores did these attacks take place?
Sorry, could you repeat that question? The sound's not good.
How close to shore did the attacks take place that you mentioned of in June and September of last year?
So the recent attack at Shelley Beach during the baited dive was more than 7 kilometers offshore. It poses no risk to any water users at beaches. Indeed, the deployment of the KZN Sharks Board paid protection gear, which consists of nets and drumlines, has reduced the incidence of fatal attacks at all protected beaches in KZN by 100%. So I can assure everyone, come to KZN. It is the safest place to swim, not just during the festive season, but for the entire year.
Now, bather protection against sharks, which obviously ensures that safety of tourists, is something that you are very, very well versed on and you take particular attention in. Now, talk to us about how does that actually work and what measure of protection does it offer?
So along the KZN coastline, over the last 67 years since the programme's inception, it's reduced the incidence of fatal shark attack by 100%. In all other provinces along the South African coast, the incidence of shark attack has actually increased every decade, whereas in KZN it's dropped, and that is due to the deployment of nets, which catch potentially dangerous shark species, as well as the use of drumlines. So both the nets and the drumlines catch potentially dangerous shark species that could come in close contact with water users. And by reducing the local population of sharks, that reduces the chance of a bather or water user encountering a shark, and hence reduces the probability of being bitten by a shark.
Now, our greatest worry when we're in the water is sharks, but there is a video that's gone viral of a seal in Clifton Beach, I think it is, that seems to be attacking an individual. How common an occurrence is this of seals attacking people?
Yeah, those occurrences are fairly rare. However, perhaps worryingly, I speak under correction now. I think there's been 3 or 4 incidents in the last 6 months of seals, particularly young seals, biting people. One of the latest theories is it could be caused by domoic acid poisoning. That's the acid is produced by toxic algal blooms, and it can cause neurological damage to species that ingest it. Whether that's the case or not, we don't know, but that's certainly the latest thinking in the trend of these seals biting people.
Well, let's talk about opportunities, career opportunities. There are many young people, many matriculants that will be looking to come your way. What would be available for them?
So in 2014, the South African government launched Operation Pikisa. That was aimed at unlocking the economic potential of our marine environment. That environment is estimated to potentially unlock up to 177 billion rands to the economy and the creation of perhaps up to 1 million jobs. Now, those jobs have been identified in aquaculture, in offshore oil and gas, marine tourism, and boat building. Now, the KZN Sharks Board is certainly supporting this government initiative. As an organisation, we offer 23 internships per annum, where we train the interns, particularly in the research department, on-the-job skills training in the field of science, where hopefully these young students can go on to obtain a job in the marine sciences.
Are these youngsters that have come straight out of matric, or do they need to have some other qualification before them?
No, we offer a range of internships. Some, for instance, with our Bather Protection Operations Division, can apply with matric. In the research division, you would perhaps need an honours degree or even a master's. So it depends which internship position we're advertising.
So one of the issues around beaches, or certainly for bathers this last holiday, has been that of high E. coli levels. Has this affected any of your beaches, and has it impacted the presence or the patronage by some of those bathers?
Yeah, the annual contribution of tourism to the KZN coast is valued at about 10 billion rands, supporting 200,000 jobs. Now, perhaps not all of that is attributable to the beach tourism sector, but undeniably, beach tourism is a major economic contributor. So with the high E. coli levels that KZN witnessed, undoubtedly the potential reduction in the number of both local as well as international tourists to the province is likely to have an economic impact to KZN. I read a recent study that was published a few weeks ago that estimated that at Umhlanga alone, with the closures of the beaches and the lack of tourists, it had the potential just of Umhlanga to lose 45 million rands a day. So if that is extrapolated to the rest of the KZN coastline, you certainly have the potential to lose hundreds of millions of rands in tourism.
Now that's the impact on the tourism, but let's talk about the impact that it has on the environment, because very often that goes unsaid. We talk about those economic numbers of bringing people in, but what about the damage to the environment?
Yeah, undoubtedly some filter feeding organisms could be affected by the E. coli. I think the risk of bioaccumulation of E. coli up the food chain is minimal. Certainly, when we look at sharks and other marine apex predators, I think the effects of E. coli coming down the rivers into the ocean are very minimal.
Dr. Matt Dickens, appreciate your time this afternoon, and he's from the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board.